Hi guys, and welcome back to the Crochet Tour YouTube channel. In today's video I'm bringing you another new crochet tutorial, and this time it's another Adventure Time pattern. So I already previously did a kind of Halloween special for the candy corn people, which you can find on my channel, but this time I've actually made Finn. So here he is. So he's got his little backpack. And yeah, so he's quite small. As you can see, this is quite small compared to the size of the things that I normally make on my channel, but that means that it should be a bit quicker to make as well. So if you're short on time, this might be a good one for you. I do also have a bigger Finn pattern as well, which is just kind of basically this one but scaled up, and I'll probably do a separate video on that in the future too. So if you wanted a bigger version, then just hold off for a while, and hopefully there'll be a new video soon with the bigger pattern as well. This is another one of the patterns that I used to sell on my Etsy, so the written pattern will be in a slightly different format. It will be in a PDF on my blog that you can download. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into what you'll be needing for this tutorial. For this tutorial you'll be needing aran weight yarn in the following colours: white, black, dark blue, medium blue, peach, dark green, and then a lighter, brighter kind of green. As you can see, I'm using Skipja's Chunky Monkey for most of the colours, and I've got the colours on display if you want to see which ones I'm using. But I did run out of my Skipja's Chunky Monkey in neon green, which is what I would have used, but I'm having to use this random red heart yarn. I'm not sure what colour it is, but this wouldn't be my first choice. It was the closest colour I had though, so that's what I'm going to be using. Then I've got my crochet hook. I've got a 4mm crochet hook to go with my aran weight yarn, but if you're using heavier or lighter yarn then you can size up or down as required. I've got my scissors, my yarn needle for sewing everything together, my black embroidery thread for adding face details. I will point out that I ended up making the eyes with black embroidery thread, but in my written pattern I think I used safety eyes. Completely up to you what you want to do, but today I just felt like using the embroidery thread. I thought it looked better. Then you'll be needing some stitch markers. You can just use some offcuts of yarn like I am. I've got some stuffing. You'll need more than this, but this is just to demonstrate. And then you'll probably want some pins as well to keep things in place as you're sewing them down. Not 100% necessary, but makes things a bit easier. So yep, that's everything you'll be needing for this. We're going to start off by making the head. So with our white yarn we're going to do round 1, which is 6 single crochets in a magic circle. Okay, so that's the end of round 1, and then for round 2 we're going to start off by doing a single crochet. Then we're going to do an increase in the next stitch. Then we're going to do an increase in the next stitch. And then we're just going to repeat all that. So single crochet, increase, and one more increase. Okay, so that's the end of round 2, and you should have 10 single crochets all the way around. I'm just going to talk you through the next few rounds now, as it's just a combination of single crochets and increases. So for round 3 you're going to do 2 single crochet, 2 increase, 3 single crochet, 2 increase, single crochet. That'll get you up to 14 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 4, 2 single crochet, 4 increase, 3 single crochet, 4 increase, single crochet. That'll get you up to 22 single crochets at the end of the round. And then rounds 5 to 10, you're just going to single crochet all the way around. So I'll meet you at the end of round 10. So I'm just about to do the final single crochet of round 10, and we're going to need to change colour to medium blue now. So I'm going to show you 2 methods that you can use to do this. So the first method is just the standard colour change method. So with this we're just going to pull up a loop in white, And then we're going to get our medium blue yarn and we're going to pull through. We're going to pull through in our medium blue like this. Just pull on that white to tighten it a little bit. And then we can just continue crocheting in medium blue, and that's our colour change done. And you can obviously cut the white yarn after you've crocheted over it a couple of stitches just to secure it a little bit in place. So that's one method you can do, but it's a bit more obvious where you've done the colour change. Not a big problem because you can just hide this at the back of the fin and have the neater side, this side being the front. But if you want to make it a little bit neater at the back as well, we can do what I call the fake single crochet colour change method. And I didn't come up with this, by the way. I've seen this on YouTube before, other people doing this. So I'm just doing my final single crochet of round 10 as normal this time. So I'm not going to pull through in blue. I'm just going to do my single crochet as normal. And then this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the yarn, leave a little bit of a tail to work with, and then I'm going to flip my work over, skip the next single crochet and go into the one after that, pull this yarn tail through, and then go back to that final single crochet of round 10 in the loop closest to us currently, so this one. I'm going to pull that white tail through, and as you can see, that's now created this fake single crochet on top of the actual real single crochet, and it just makes it a little bit harder to tell where the round finished. You can still see a slight bump, but it's a bit neater than the standard colour change method. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to knot this tail off now. So I'm just knotting that off to secure it on the inside. And then all we need to do to actually change colour is to just reattach our medium blue yarn into one of the stitches. It doesn't really matter which stitch you choose, but I tend to pick the one before the fake single crochet. So the last single crochet of the round that we did before we changed colour. I'm just going to reattach my blue yarn into this stitch like this. And there we go, that's my colour change complete, and then I can just start single crocheting in my new colour like so. So yeah, I just thought I'd show you that so that you have a couple of different options of how to change colour. So regardless of what method you've chosen to change colour to medium blue, we're going to be single crocheting a round in medium blue for 8 rounds in total, so that'll be rounds 11 to 18. So I'll meet you when you're about to finish round 18. Okay, so I'm just about to do the final single crochet of round 18 now. This is what it's looking like. And then we're going to change to dark blue, so I'm going to be using the fake single crochet method again, and I'll show you once more. So I'm turning my work, skipping the next single crochet, going into the one after that, pulling that yarn tail through, going back to that final single crochet from round 18, closest loop to us only, pulling that tail through, and then I'm just going to secure that on the inside. Now I'm going to get my dark blue. I'm going to reattach that. And now I am ready to start round 19. So for round 19, it's just going to be another round of single crocheting all the way around, but obviously in your dark blue colour this time. So just single crochet all the way around, and I'll meet you when you finish that. I've just finished round 19, now we're going to move on to round 20. In round 20 we're going to be doing some decreases, so I'll do this together with you because I haven't shown you how to do any decreases yet. So we're going to start off by doing 3 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to do a decrease over the next 2 stitches, just like that. Then we're going to do 4 single crochets, then we're going to do another decrease, and then we're just going to do all of that all over again. So 3 single crochets, then a decrease, 4 single crochets, and a decrease. So that's the end of round 20. You should have 18 single crochets all the way around now. So now what you're going to do after you've completed round 20 is you're going to flatten your work, and you're going to try and make sure that the end of round 20 is on the right hand side, so your right hand side, and this is going to be the front side, because as you can see this is pretty neat. Then if we turn over, this is going to be the back, and this is where the colour changes are, so I want to try and hide these at the back of the piece, so this is going to be the back. And then once you've got your work like this and you know what your front side is going to be, we're going to start mapping out the legs. So you're going to want 4 stitch markers to do this. If you don't have that, just cut 4 little pieces of yarn in a contrasting colour, and we'll map out the legs now. So each leg should be 6 single crochets all the way around, and obviously because there's 18 single crochets here, that means there's going to be a 3 single crochet gap between the legs on both the front and the back. So you want to try and map the legs out so that they're kind of evenly spaced, based on how the front of your fin kind of sits. So as this is going to be the front of the fin, I kind of want the 3 single crochet gap to be about here, I think. So I'm going to place 1 stitch marker here. This will be for the first leg that we do. And then I'm going to place another stitch marker 4 single crochets away from that. And that's going to be for my other leg. I'm going to just use 2 different colours of stitch markers to hopefully help explain what I'm doing. So as each leg needs to be 6 single crochets, then we're going to count 6, including the stitch that we've already marked. So for this leg, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the next one is this one, so 5, 6. So this one I'm going to mark as well, and then I'm going to count 4 after that. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to mark this one for the other leg, and then I'm just going to check that the second leg definitely has the 6 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've done that correctly. So now the legs are marked out like that. So the final thing to do before we actually start the first round of the leg is to single crochet up to the first stitch marker that you come across. So for me it will just be doing 2 single crochets. It may be slightly different for you depending on where exactly you positioned your stitch markers. So I'm just gonna do that, and that will be me ready to start the first round for the first leg. So for round 1, we're just going to do 6 single crochets all the way around, starting from the other marked stitch on the opposite side that matches the one that you just did there. So I'm going to take this out because I know which stitch I'm going into, and I'm going to start here. So this is 1, and if you want you can mark this as well just to remind yourself where the round started, if that's helpful. Okay, so that was 1, 2, 3, just got to do the last one here. Six. So that's the end of round 1, and that's just 6 single crochets all the way around. So now for round 2, you're just going to single crochet all the way around again, but we're going to be changing to our peach colour at the end of round 2. I've just completed round 2, and now I'm going to change to peach. So again, I'm going to use the fake single crochet method. I'm sure you've probably got the hang of it by now if you're also doing this, although this one may be a little bit tight because there's obviously only 6 single crochets in the round, so not that much space to work with here, but I'm going to try my best. Just trying to push that yarn tail in. Okay, and now I'm going to attach my peach yarn. Okay, so now we're ready to start round 3. So for rounds 3 to 6, you're just going to single crochet all the way around in peach, and then we're going to be doing our final colour change, which is going to be to black. Okay, so I finished my peach rounds. I've already done my fake single crochet here because I've shown you this method a few times already in the video, and now what I'm going to do is reattach my black yarn, but I'm going to do that only in the back loop. So I'm going to just go through the back loop here, get my black and reattach. Like so. So now we're ready to start round 7. So for round 7, we're just going to be single crocheting all the way around, but in the back loops only, hence why we reattached into the back loop there. So just take your time with this because the round is obviously quite small and it can be a little bit tricky to get into the right loop and to see where everything is. And I can just see that this fake single crochet is loosening up a bit, so I'm just going to find the tail and pull on that. There we go. Nearly done, just going to do the final single crochet now. Okay, so when that's done you can cut your yarn. I was just using a small length of yarn, so I don't actually really need to cut that, and then you can just pull it through like this, because we're going to create a separate foot piece to go on the end here. So yeah, we're cutting our yarn at this point. Don't particularly worry about leaving a long tail for sewing or anything. You may just want to be doing some knotting on the inside with the tails that you have, just to secure everything in place. So I might just do that off camera because it's a little bit tricky to try and get into these small little gaps, and it will probably take me a little bit of time just to add some knots on the inside. But yeah, once you've done that, then the next thing we're going to do is grab our white yarn and create the appearance of socks around those available front loops from the peach final round. So I'll meet you when you've secured all of your tails. So we're now going to add the socks. So as this is the front, I'm going to reattach into the back just because that'll be the messiest part of this round. So I've got my white yarn. I'm going to select one of these available front loops in peach, and I'm going to just attach this. And then I'm going to single crochet all the way around. Again, just take your time with it, it can be a little bit fiddly. This is the last one. Okay, and to finish off, I'm probably just going to slip stitch into the first single crochet that I did in white. And then you can cut your yarn, making sure that you leave a bit of a tail so that you can secure on the inside of the leg. And I'm just going to snip this tail because I did already crochet over it, so it should be secure. Okay, so once you've secured this tail, come back and we'll crochet the black foot to finish off the leg. Before we make the foot as well, one other thing you're going to want to do is just stuff at this point. So stuff the body and the leg if you want to. You don't really have to because it might already be sort of secure enough without any stuffing because it is quite a small leg. But I just added a little bit of stuffing inside mine by just using my crochet hook and pushing it in at this point. So yeah, just thought I'd mention that. So for the shoe, for round 1, we're going to do 4 single crochets in a magic circle in black. So that's the end of round 1, and then for round 2 you're going to do single crochet increase and then single crochet increase again, and that'll get you up to 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops. There we go, 6. So that's the end of round 2. You should have 6 single crochets all the way around. For round 3, we're just going to single crochet all the way around. So 6 single crochets. And then for round 4 you're going to do 3 slip stitches and then 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and then this is the 3rd slip stitch, and then we're going to do 3 double crochets. So 1, oops, 2, 3, now you're just going to cut your yarn, leaving a tail for sewing. and we can just hide that tail if you've still got one as well. So as you can see, this creates kind of like a shoe shape, as you can see, and we're just going to sew this now onto the bottom of the leg. So I'm now just going to sew that foot to the bottom of the leg, and I'm going to try and position it so that the double crochets are sewn towards the back of the leg and the slip stitches are sewn towards the front. So I'm just checking what stitch to go into next. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I know it must be this one. And you can stuff this if you want, but because my yarn is so thick and the crochet hook is so small, there's barely any space actually in here to stuff, so I'm probably not going to bother. But depending on what yarn and hook size you use, you might be able to put some stuffing in. So you don't need to be exact with this, just try your best to sew this a little bit neatly. So I'm just going to be doing whip stitching. Just going to do one final stitch to try and neaten this bit up here at the front. Okay, so that's all sewn down and that's how it looks from the front, so it's pointy at the front like that. So I'm just going to weave that black yarn tail through the foot to the bottom of the foot, and then I'm going to just snip that. You can secure it a little bit more if you want to, but I'm not going to bother, so I'm just going to cut that. Okay, so that is our first leg complete. It is a little bit fiddly, so hopefully you managed to get through that. Now we're going to have to repeat it all again on the other side, so yeah, that's going to be fun. So as you can see, my stitch markers fell out, so I'm just going to add those back in as well. So if your stitch markers fell out, just remember that it's 3 single crochet gap on either side between the legs. So 1, 2, 3, and we're going to mark the 4th one. Same thing on the front. 1, 2, 3, mark number 4. And then I'll just do a double check to make sure that I've got 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, so I know that I've positioned that correctly. Okay, so now I'm ready to reattach my dark blue yarn and get started on the second leg. Okay, so you need to reattach your dark blue yarn into the marked stitch at the back. So not the one at the front, not this one, but the one at the back. So now for round 1, you're just going to do 6 single crochets as we did before. And that should bring you up to your second stitch marker and the final stitch marker that we can then remove. So 5 and 6. And then for round 2, you're just going to single crochet all the way around again. Just remember to make sure that you start your round on the other side like this, and that will create the circle. So this will be the first single crochet of round 2. And then you're just going to single crochet all the way around in dark blue. So I'm just going to remind you of the steps you need to do again. So for this second round that we just started, single crochet all the way around in dark blue, then change to peach and do rounds 3 to 6 of single crocheting all the way around in peach, then change to black, but make sure that for round 7 you're single crocheting all the way around in the back loops only, and make sure that when you change to black, if you're doing the fake single crochet method, you reattach your yarn into the back loop only of one of the stitches. And then once you've finished round 7, you're just going to cut your yarn, secure that yarn tail, and then we're going to reattach white yarn into one of the available loops from the final round in peach, and you're going to single crochet all the way around in white to create the sock. Then you can add some stuffing at that point if you want to, or you can just leave the leg unstuffed. If your round is quite tight like mine is, that's probably fine. And then what you're going to do is you're going to move on to making the foot again. So for that, I'll again add all of the steps, the rounds that you need to do for the foot. But if you need a reminder of how to do any of the steps, just go back and watch it again for this leg, because it is exactly the same again, so hence why I'm not going to film all of that again. So I'll meet you when you've completed your second leg. Just finished the second leg, and now I'm going to reattach some dark blue yarn in between the legs to close up this gap that we have here. So I'm just going to whip stitch along. Okay, just like that. Then I'm going to weave that yarn tail through to another blue stitch at the back. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. And then I'm going to snip that. Okay, so the hole is closed up now. This is what it looks like. I've got a piece of white yarn here that's like, I was trying to hide that, but it got a little bit messy, so I'm just going to pull that out and snip it as well, just to get rid of that. There we go. I'll use some tweezers to tidy that bit of stuffing up later. But yeah, this is what we have. So now we've got the main body, head and the legs complete. So I've gone ahead and made one of the arms here, and I'm just going to talk you through the steps for making the arms, because it's no new techniques that I haven't already shown you in this video. So for round 1, you're going to just do 6 single crochets in a magic circle in your peach colour. Then for rounds 2 to 6, you're going to single crochet all the way around in peach. Then you're going to change to medium blue, and for rounds 7 to 8 you're just going to single crochet all the way around in medium blue. And then finally for round 9 you're going to do 3 slip stitches and 3 single crochets. Then you're going to cut your yarn, leaving a tail for sewing, and you can add stuffing if you want. I think I'm just going to leave the arms unstuffed because they're still fairly sort of keeping their shape without any stuffing, but you might want to add some as well. So come back when you've got 2 arms just like this, and I'll show you how to sew them to the body. So as you can see, I've sewn down one of the arms. I'm going to do the other one with you now to show you how to do it. So you can use pins if you want, but I'm just going to position it roughly, just hold it in place. So I think this is roughly where I want it to sit. So I'm just going to be doing a whip stitch along the top of the arm to start with. And you want to make sure that the 3 single crochets that you do are facing outwards, and the 3 slip stitches you did in the final round are facing towards fin, and that just creates a slight shoulder appearance. So that's that one. I'm just going to do the third one now. And before I continue, I'm just going to check I'm still happy with that placement. I think that's probably fine. So what I'm then going to do is I'm going to just sew down a couple of stitches at either side of the arm. So I'm going to do one here, maybe a second one as well actually. And then I'm going to weave my yarn tail back to the front. I'm going to do the same thing at the front. So I'm just going to do one and see how it looks. Now I might do another one. Yeah, I might do another one. I might do one higher up this time. Okay, I think that looks fine. So now I'm just going to weave that yarn tail through to the back, and then I'll snip that. So now both of our arms are sewn down. So now we need to add the face. So for the face, we're starting off with our peach yarn again. So we're going to be doing 6 single crochets in a magic circle for round 1. Then for round 2, you're going to start off by doing an increase. And as you can see, I've still got a bit of a hole in the middle there, so I'm just going to pull that yarn tail again. Okay, so I've done my increase. Now I'm going to do 1 single crochet. Then I'm going to do 2 increases. Then I'm going to do another single crochet, and then another increase. So now we've got 10 single crochets at the end of round 2. For round 3, you're just going to do increase, 3 single crochet, 2 increase, 3 single crochet, increase. I'll meet you at the end of round 3 as we then need to change colour to white. I finished round 3 and I've done my fake single crochet already here, so I'm already ready to join the white yarn, and then we'll do the final round in white. You can of course do your standard colour change here as well. So when I'm joining in the yarn, I'm just going to be doing it in the back loop only, because we're going to be single crocheting around in the back loops now. So for round 4, just single crochet all the way around in the back loops only in your white colour like this. So I'll meet you when you finish that. Got to the end of round 4, this is what it looks like. You can finish off by just doing a slip stitch into this stitch if you want to, but I think I'm going to finish off with a fake single crochet. So I'm going to cut my yarn, leaving quite a long tail for sewing. And this time I'm going to add in an additional fake single crochet, I think. So I'm just going to go into the first single crochet from this round. Pull the yarn tail through. And then into the nearest loop of the final single crochet, pull that through. And there we go. Now you can't tell so much where the round ended. So now we need to add the face details, and then we can sew this to the head. I've just added the face details with some black embroidery thread. I did try adding the eyes with some safety eyes, but they just looked a bit too big on this face. If you had some smaller ones, so maybe like 4mm or something, that might be fine, but I think the smallest ones I had were 6mm and they looked a bit too big, so I just decided to add the eyes with the black embroidery thread as well as the mouth. So I literally just pushed my yarn through this hole here, back through this one, then up through this one into this hole, then up through this one and then into this one, and then now this is what I'm left with at the back. So I'll probably just knot that together, try not to pull too hard because otherwise you might misshape the front of the head, so just keep that a little bit loose and then knot round once more, and then I can cut those yarn tails to make them a little bit shorter and easier to hide behind the face. So just like that, and now I'm going to cut those yarn tails. I'll probably cut this white one as well. Okay, so now it is time to sew this to the head. I've pinned the face to the head. Now I'm going to start sewing this down. I'm going to be doing a running stitch, not a whip stitch for this, so I'll show you a few stitches to get started. So I'm just going to do that all the way around until I've sewn it down. I've sewn the face all the way down now, so I'm just going to weave that yarn tail through to the back and then snip that. So the next thing we're going to make is the ears, so we're going to need our white yarn again for that. I've just gone ahead and made the 2 ears because they're quite straightforward. So for each ear you're just going to do 4 single crochets in a magic circle in your white colour, and then for round 2 you're going to just single crochet all the way around, and that's it. Then just cut your yarn, leaving a tail for sewing. Now I'm going to show you how to sew these to Finn's head. Sewn down the first ear, so I'm going to do the second one with you now. I'm just going to be doing a whip stitch all the way around, so I have used my pins for this as well because it's quite handy to just keep it in place. Okay, so that's it. I've sewn it all the way around, and I think I'm just going to leave it like that. So I'm just weaving my yarn tail through to the back, and then I will cut that, and the other one as well from the other ear. Okay, so if you wanted to, you could just leave your fin like this. You could just leave it here. But I am going to show you how to make his backpack as well, and that's going to be the final thing that we do. So if you want to make that, then keep watching the video. So for the backpack, we're going to be crocheting in rounds, but for round 1 we're going to start off with a foundation chain, and then we're going to crochet around that. So you're going to be starting off in your lighter, brighter green colour, and we're going to do a chain of 7. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to be working all the way around this to create round 1. So you can work in the front loops if you want to. I'm going to be working in these back loops. Doesn't make a massive difference, just slightly changes the way that it looks, and I just prefer working in the back loops. So I'm going to start off by doing an increase in the second chain from hook. Then I'm going to be doing 4 single crochets. Then that should bring you to your final chain, and in here we're going to be doing 4 single crochets in the one chain. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. And when I'm working along the other side of the chain, I'm going to be going into both loops now. So now what we're going to do is another 4 single crochets. So 1, and I'm intentionally single crocheting over this tail as well to secure it in place. Don't know why I said place. 2, 3 and 4, and then we will finish off by doing a final increase in this chain. So 1, 2. So that's the end of round 1, and you should have 16 single crochets all the way around. Now for rounds 2 to 4, you're just going to single crochet all the way around. So start from the next single crochet and just do 16 single crochets in each of those 3 rounds. I'll meet you when you're finishing round 4, as we're then going to change to our dark green colour. I finished round 4 and I did my fake single crochet here to finish the round, so I'm ready to attach my dark green, and we're going to attach that in the back loop only because we're going to be single crocheting in just the back loops for round 5. Okay, so yeah, I'm just going to be single crocheting all the way around, back loops only for round 5, just like that. And then for round 6 and 7, you're just going to single crochet all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 7. So I've reached the end of round 7, and what you want to do is just flatten the backpack like this, and then just work out kind of where the edge of your backpack is and single crochet up to here. So just do however many you need to do. I think I'm probably going to do 2. Okay, then you want to cut your yarn, leaving a fairly long tail. And now we're going to sew across the top of the backpack to close it, and obviously we're going to add some stuffing as well before we fully close it off. So I'm just going to make a start with this. So when you're doing this, you want to just take one loop from either side, so this loop and then this loop, and I'm going to do it a whip stitch like I usually do. So I'm about halfway across, and I think it's time to add some stuffing. That'll do, I don't want to overdo it on the stuffing. So I'm just checking where I need to go next. So 1, 2, 3, 4, so that would be this one. Okay, so we don't need this yarn tail anymore. So I'm just working out actually what's going to be my front and what's going to be my back. Yeah, I think this is going to be the back, so I'll just weave the yarn tail through, and then I can snip that. So now we just need to make the straps, and we need to add a little like button shape to it. I'm an absolute idiot and just realised that I could have just added the button detail with the yarn tail I already had, so I'm just going to be reattaching that now. Don't worry if you've done the same thing, it's fine. And I'm just going to basically just make a little line, I think, in the middle like this, and see how that looks. I think that's fine. I think I'm just going to leave it like that. So I'll probably just try and knot this a little bit in as neat a way as I can, potentially knot these two tails together, and then I'll hide them on the inside of the bag. So then we just need to make the straps and sew them on, and then we'll be finished. I've made one of the straps here, as you can see, and I'm going to do the other one with you now. So we need to do half of it in our lighter green and half of it in our darker green, and we need to make sure that we have tails on either side so that we can use that for sewing. So I'm going to start off with my lighter green. I'm going to make sure to leave a tail at the beginning, a longer tail than I normally would for sewing, and I'm going to do 12 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then on the 13th one I'm going to pull through in dark green, and that's going to change the colour. That bit might feel a little bit loose, don't worry, we're going to go back and fix that later. I'm going to do another 13 chains with my dark green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then I'm going to cut the tail, leaving a tail for sewing. So this is what you should have, and you can also cut this tail, leave a bit of a tail because we're going to need to work with that now. This is what you should have. Now we're going to tidy up that bit in the middle that's a little bit loose. So if you turn the chain over like this, you just want to knot these two tails together and try and make it so that the knot is on the back of the chain and not at the front. I'm going to do a double knot. And then you're going to try and weave the yarn tail through the chain and then snip it. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And I'm going to snip this. And then it shouldn't be too visible, hopefully, from the front. I know you can see that little bit there on this one, but I don't really care. I'm just going to leave it like that, because otherwise it will be, if I try and hide that, it might make this a bit too unsecure and it might all fall apart. So I'm just going to leave it like that. So now we're ready to sew these to the bag, and then we're done. Sewn down one of the straps. I'm going to do the final one with you now. So I'm just going to do the top bit first. to do the bottom part. I'm just going to cut these tails, and I'm going to put this on Finn now. I've put his backpack on, and this is what my finished Finn looks like. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!